Hello, I'm Alexandra. I'm from Orono High School, and I will be teaching you how to play the clarinet today, like a basic understanding of it. So first, I'm going to go through how you assemble the clarinet, and I will talk about the different pieces of clarinet. Plural. Okay, so first of all, what you need to play the clarinet is a reed. I have that here. I'll bring it closer so you can see. This is what a reed looks like. This is for B-flat clarinet. There's different types, and I will get to that later. When you assemble your clarinet, you should always be sucking on the reed. That's the first thing that you should have. You need to put it in your mouth to wet it because that's what causes the sound to come out. So put it in your mouth. This is going to sound really weird, but just make sure you get the whole part wet. Get this part wet up to the halfway line, and then on the back you can get it up to like where the words start. I'll take it out so I can talk easier, but hold on. Okay, so you should have that in your mouth the entire time while you're putting your instrument together. This top piece, well, this can come off, it's a cap. This is called the mouthpiece, and this is a ligature. This is a ligature, and it's what holds your reed in. And sometimes they have it facing backwards. It just depends on what type of clarinet you have. Mine is facing front, and so you put this onto the barrel, which is this flat thing. Not flat, it's round. So you connect those. There's a wider part at the bottom and a thinner part at the top. As you can see, it kind of flares out. So you put the top piece into the thinner part, and you kind of just twist it in there. Then you put this onto the first middle section, because there's two middle sections. It's just called the middle joint. So you put it on. So this part, this flat part, is where you're going to put the reed, and you put this flat part facing this back key button, because you will end up putting your thumb here. I'll talk about fingerings and how you put the fingers there in a second. So you make sure this flat part is lined up with this key in the back. So facing you guys, it's like, it should be around that. So the flat part is in line with this. After that, you put this whole part onto another middle section. This is the front. Where all the keys are, this is the front of the clarinet, and then you rest your other thumb here. And so there's a key right here. You can't really see it very well. This key that's moving right here, you connect that onto this part. This part that's moving right here, right there. You put this part, the top part, onto this so it overlaps. When you can join it, it's like, oops. So you can kind of see it. So then once you move the top, this top is moving, but if you move the bottom now, the whole thing moves. So it's just overlapping. So then looking at the back, all of this, the flat piece through this key down to here, should all be lined up. And then you put on the bell of the clarinet, which looks like this. And you can just put this on anyway, but it just connects to the bottom of it. And then once you're done, you put the reed that you should have been sucking on this entire time onto the flat part of the clarinet, which looks like this. And then you want to leave about like a finger, the tip of a fingernail's width between it. So like, as you can see, you can kind of see the top of the black up here. You should leave about a little bit that you can see, so the reed is a little bit lower than the back of the clarinet. And then you put the ligature on, like that, and then you twist the screws so it's tightened, but not all the way tightened. It's just tightened enough that you can twist it still, but it should hold the reed on. So I talked about, well, I briefly said earlier that there are different types of reeds. When you're starting off, you usually play a 1 or a 1.5 size reed. The more advanced players go to like a 4 or a 4.5. Along with And there's different brands of reed, so it just depends on which type or brand you like best. But beginners should start off with a 1 or a 1.5 size, and I recommend either the Rico reeds or Van Doren. Van Doren? Yeah, Van Doren, because those end up with the best sound. There's also different types of clarinets. The main one that beginners use is a B flat, that's what I have here. There's also an E flat that has a different size reed, and I think it just looks slightly different. There's also a bass clarinet and a contra clarinet and a few others that you don't need to know, but the bass clarinet and the contra clarinet are big, longer instruments, and they look more like bassoon. So, and then there's also a plastic versus a wood clarinet. The plastic clarinets are what beginners use, and the wood clarinets are for more advanced players, and they generally cost more. But so yeah, beginners should start off with a plastic clarinet. Next is making sound. So your embouchure is what your mouth, like the form your mouth should take, and when you play the clarinet, you want to have a flat chin. So when you put it in your mouth, you should have your chin be like flat, but it shouldn't be like really loose. It should just be, your mouth should be tight around the clarinet and around the reed. So you want to have a firm mouth, so you want to have your flat chin. When you play, you want to, here, hold on. You want to have it looks weird when you look in a mirror, but I suggest looking in a mirror when you first start, because you want to look like this. So from the side it would look like this. So as you can see, I have a flat chin and my cheeks are not puffed out. And then you want to blow like down. Also, when you put your clarinet in your mouth, your bottom lip should be tucked over your bottom teeth. So the bottom teeth are not touching the reed at all, it's just your bottom lip. And then your top teeth should be touching the top of the clarinet over here. Just very lightly, just enough so you can hold it in place. You should also, when you play, you should have, rather than have your clarinet just like completely flat so it's resting against your chin, you should have it out at a slight angle. So as you can see when I play, there's like a little bit of an angle between like my neck and my collarbone to here, rather than having it completely flat. Along with that, if you don't have your clarinet in the right spot in your mouth, you will end up squeaking, so I can show you what you squeak. So this is what it should sound like. That's just an open G. I'll talk about keys in a minute. And then if you squeak, it's this really high-pitched noise, and it happens when your embouchure is not tight enough, it's not in the right spot, or if your fingerings are wrong. So this is what a squeak sounds like. Yeah, as you can see, I also blew out my cheeks, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to like have the air just come from your mouth, so you don't want your cheeks to blow out either. And when I did that, rather than having my teeth up here, my teeth were way down here, so I had most of it like, in my mouth. Oh, I also forgot to mention, when you play, you want the tip of your tongue to be like right at the top, rather than like really far down on the reed. You want it to be up here where my finger is, rather than all the way down here, because it makes it lighter and it's easier to play. It's faster to play that way because you don't have to have as much distance between the reed and your tongue. And when you play, you should, rather than just, if you say 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2, that's how you should be playing, because your tongue should be moving fast rather than ta 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 like that. Because you can hear the lag in my tongue, and it sounds really heavy rather than 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2. It sounds light. So when you play, just make sure you're doing that 2 2 2 2 sound on the top of your reed, because that will make the best sound. So when you're practicing to make sound, just make sure your teeth are taking in about a half a centimeter of the clarinet, and your lip is resting about 2 centimeters, like your top lip is resting about 2 centimeters down on the clarinet. And your top teeth are resting on top of the clarinet lightly, and your bottom teeth are covered by your bottom lip, which is placed on your reed. As you can see, I keep licking my reed too, because your reed should always be wet when you play. Another thing is also from playing a clarinet, you get spit that goes down the whole thing. And it's just from when you blow and you just have a lot of stuff running through your mouth like spit. And it just like collects on your reed, because that's what you need to keep wet. You need your spit and your saliva to keep the reed wet so it can make vibrations and move to make sound. And so that access drips through the clarinet, and sometimes you can feel it like through the keys because it'll drip out through the holes of your keys. And that affects your sound because it makes your sound more spitty, and you can hear the spit in it because the spit is like vibrating. So to avoid that, you want to either, this is going to sound gross, you want to either suck up the spit back into your clarinet, or you want to like shake it out, but you don't want to be shaking it out in the middle of a performance, so I suggest that you suck it up when you play. So like that, it's gross, but you can suck it up, but yeah, you'll get used to it later. To get sound, you want to blow with enough air, but you don't want your cheeks to pop out, so you don't want to play like, because then no sound will come out, or it will squeak like I talked about earlier. Now on to the fingering positions. So I'll hold it up here so you can see. I should probably move closer. So you should have your left hand on the upper part of the clarinet and your right hand on the lower part of the clarinet. When you have your hand, you should have your pointer finger on this first hole, your middle finger on the second hole, and your ring finger on this third hole, and your pinky is just resting on this key. This won't actually be played for a lot unless you get to sharps and flats. And then your thumb, your back thumb, should be resting on this key back here, so it just looks like this when you play. And then your right hand should have your pointer finger on the first hole, middle finger on the second hole, ring finger on the third hole, and your pinky resting on these 4 keys, because these are used later for alternate fingerings, which I'll get to in a second. And your thumb should be resting underneath this. Sometimes these finger pads look a little different, and you can, for this clarinet, you can move it up and down with a screwdriver, and so that just depends on how your thumb looks. A tip for holding the clarinet: when you have your hand placed on here, you should have your hand at a resting position. So this is what my hand looks like at a resting position, just like if you hold it, shake your hand out, and then just put your hand back. Mine looks like this, and so then you should just put it right on here, and your finger should just right overlap the holes, and that's the way you should hold your fingers. You want the pads of your fingers, so you can see there's some hole marks on my fingers. You want them to be resting right over the holes so you don't have any spaces, because if you play like this where there's a bunch of space on this hole, you're going to squeak, and you don't want squeaking sounds. So make sure the pads of your fingers are covering the holes at all times. As I said earlier, a few minutes ago, there's some extra keys down here, such as these ones over here, these side ones, these keys. All of these extra keys are for alternate fingering, so once you become more of an advanced player, you get into more advanced rhythms and skills, that it would be easier to use these rather than the original fingerings, just for like fast purposes. So you don't really need to worry about all of those, just the main scale. Now onto the notes. So the woodwinds, there's 2 different types. There's woodwinds that play in the treble clef, and the brass, which play in the bass clef. So you want to make sure that you're playing at all times. If you're a clarinet, you want to play in the treble clef, or else the notes won't make sense if you're in the bass clef. The classic scale that beginners start on is called the B-flat scale. For clarinets, that starts on a C, which is weird. Clarinets are, if you're looking at a pattern of scales, clarinets start 2 notes down. So a B-flat on the scale pattern is 2 notes above a C, and our B-flat scale starts on a C, which is this note right here. So the whole left hand is down from this thumb all the way through these 3 keys. Your pinky is not doing anything because that's just resting there. And then your whole right hand is left open on these keys. So that's how you play a C, and I'll just play the sound for you. So that's what a C sounds like. And your B flat scale is for a clarinet, you generally just go up the clarinet as you play. So the scale goes from an A to a G. So if you're like the alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So if we start on a C, the next note would be a D, then an E. And for all of these right here, you keep your thumb down. So there's a C, a D, which you lift this one up, an E, you lift the second one up, an F, which you're only holding that thumb down, and then a G is all of your hands, no keys are being held down. And that's the middle note, and then the middle note of the clarinet, because as you can see, when you have that, from that middle note down is called the lower register, and then there's a key back here it's called the register key, so when you switch octaves, which I will talk about octaves in a second. So after the G, which is this open note, you go to an A, which is this key up here, an A, and then a B, you hold down this register key here with the thumb, so these two, all three of these, and then this key right here is the top one, and then this one here. So there's 1, 2, 3. You want to play this third key right here, and then that's the B. So far it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then the C, which is the next note, you just lift up this third key here, this pinky key, and then you have everything down, and that's a C. So that's the scale from C all the way up to C. I can just play through it so you can hear what it sounds like. So starting on the C, going up to the high C, or the middle C. So I went up and then back down. So that's what it should sound like when you play. It'll take a while to get the sound right, but you'll catch on pretty quickly. For scales, it's from note to note. So just from, like that one was C to C. The other notes can be from like D to D or G to G with different flats and sharps in there. And that's just depending on how advanced you are, you get into more scales. For when you're practicing and you're starting off learning, you want to use practice books and fingering charts to help you learn. The practice books teach you rhythms and other types of keys and notes. The fingering charts teach you the fingers on the clarinet, so it'll teach you where to place your fingers for each of the keys. It takes a little bit to learn, but once you learn it, then you just remember it forever. So, also there will be another video other than this one that will teach you how to do, There'll be another video that teaches you how to play the notes and the rhythms, and it will go through all of the different types of notes there are on the scale, on the treble clef, and the different types of rhythms that you can have in music. So I talked earlier about the register key and the octaves. So for clarinets, beginners usually play in the first register, which I showed you. The first register is from all the way down here, but not holding this key down. So all of your keys except for this one are down. So you want to hold all of those down from there all the way up to that open middle G, and that's called the lower register. So you just go up this clarinet for the lower register. The middle register is for slightly more advanced, and that's holding down this register key but the same scale, except the notes are slightly different, which you will learn about in the notes video, because the fingers are played the same but the notes are just called different notes. So in the lower register, not holding down this key, this is a C, but in a higher register, if you put that down, that's a G. So it just depends on where you are in the scale. And then the third octave or register is for really advanced players, so I'm not going to get into that. Moving on to posture. When you play, you want to have your back straight rather than slouching, because you're not going to get good air support through it, so your clarinet will sound bad and your sound quality won't be as good as it should be. So if you sit up straight, have your shoulders rolled back slightly, have your head up a little bit, and you have your clarinet at an angle like I talked about, that's how you want to sit when you play, so you have the best sound and best air support. For breathing, you always want to breathe before you play. Like when you start, it's going to take a while to actually be able to hold your breath while you're playing. Well, you shouldn't hold your breath, you were just blowing your air through the clarinet, but it'll take you a while to be able to blow more air for a longer period of time. So when I first started, I was able to take one breath for every 2 measures, but now I'm able to take, depending on the music, 1 breath for like every 8 measures. So it gets easier as you go along, but it just takes a while to learn. So whenever you start a piece, make sure you take a deep breath, and then like so you just start, and then you blow through just depending on the dynamics. And it just takes a little bit to learn, but when you actually get sound, your sound should be coming from your air, and you just blow through and blow hard but not too hard, because if you blow too hard you're going to squeak. So find a medium, and if you blow too soft, no sound will come out. So find a happy medium between the two. So also when you're playing, you want to breathe from your belly, not your shoulders. So if I'm breathing through my shoulders, it just looks like, whereas if you're breathing through your belly, your shoulders don't move as much. So as you can see, my shoulders did not move up as much. So when you play your instrument, you want to breathe through your stomach because you have better air support and you're able to play your clarinet with better sound. Another thing is to do with breathing. There's different types of, you can have faster breaths or slower breaths when you're actually breathing through the clarinet. Also warm air versus cold air, but it just depends on how well your dynamics come out and the different types of dynamics. So that's the general video. For the overview, just remember to have good posture, back straight, shoulders slightly back, head up a little bit, and clarinet at an angle. You want to have your embouchure right, which is your mouth, remember, so that's, you want to have a tight mouth, a flat chin. And then also your fingers, just remember your left hand goes on top, your right hand goes on bottom. Your left thumb is resting on this key back here, and your right thumb is resting under this. So that was it. Now I'm going to show you how to clean and put away your instrument. I probably should have said this earlier, but when you hold the instrument and you put it together, you don't want to hold it like super tight and squeeze it, because that's going to break the keys. So you just want to have like a light hold on it, but hard enough that you can take it apart, but just not hard enough that you can break it. So the first thing you take off is your reed. You don't need to suck on it at all. So you just have, they generally come with cases like this. They're clear, but I can put it against. So it depends on the type of reed company you buy, but that's where they have them. One of the types, you can buy them at the store, and they come in packages of this. This is a size 3 reed. Remember, you want to start on a size 1 or a 2, or a 1 or 1.5, and they go up by halves. Yeah, so you want to start in a 1.5 apparently, because that's the softest reed, and as you get more advanced, you switch to harder reeds, and it just helps you play better. So you take off that reed, and then you take this off and just set it aside, because that will go on later. So then what I do is I take off the barrel and the head joint together and set the other thing down, and then the rest of it down, and then I just separate those two. And when you're taking it apart, you want to twist it. You don't want to just pull it apart, because that's going to take the cork off, because the cork right here is what keeps the clarinet together. So you want to twist off lightly and then take it apart. The ligature, which is the silver thing, goes back onto the mouthpiece the way it is, the way you had it when the reed was on, but now it's just without the reed. Sometimes they come with a cap like this, so that can just go on over the whole thing, and so the ligature is just right into that hole. Sometimes they don't, it just depends on what type of clarinet you have. So then the barrel just sits, when you get your clarinet, it will come already broken apart into the different pieces, so you can see where it goes, and then you can put it back. So the barrel just sits in the clarinet case by itself. And then you want to twist these apart, remember. And you're going to not be able to twist this all the way, these two pieces, because there will be other keys in the way, so just twist it half, like slightly apart, and then this just comes off and goes in the case. And then this comes off, the bottom comes off and goes in the case. So that was how you take it apart, but then once you're done playing, you want to clean it because there's a whole bunch of spit and nasty stuff that goes through your clarinet, so you want to make sure it's clean every time you play. So you can either, well, there's different tools. So this is what the cases usually come with. This is called a spit swab or spit rag. You can either put this all the way through the clarinet to begin with before you take it apart. You will have your reed off, but you can put it like through the mouth, from the mouthpiece all the way down to the bell, or you can take it apart and then put it through. So I already took mine apart, so I'll just show you when it's taken apart. So this is one of the middle joints, and you just put, there's usually a weight at the end of it, so you just put that weight through the instrument, because there's a hole that goes all the way through the instrument. You put it all the way down, and then you can see it come out at the bottom, and then you just pull it through, and then it just comes out, and that's just how it cleans the spit out of the instrument. So you can do that for every piece, or you can just do it as one piece for the whole instrument if you have the instrument still together. And then there's this, which is just called a cleaning rag, and this is just to wipe down the keys on the outside. So using the middle joint again, you can see like the silver, and sometimes they get gross with your fingers and the oils on your fingers, so you just want to wipe it down with the rag just to clean up the fingerprints and stuff, just to make it look shiny and new. Another quick housekeeping thing for it is the clarinets usually come with cork grease. Sometimes they come in bottles that look like chapstick, and sometimes they come in bottles that look like this, that you just twist the top off. And there's like gel inside that's called cork grease, and you put that on the cork part of your clarinet, which I talked about, that's what keeps your clarinet together. When you first get your clarinet, these will be like hard, so it'll be hard to put your instrument together and to take apart because the corks won't be softened. What the cork grease does is it softens and adds moisture to the corks, so it like loosens it enough that it's easy to twist the clarinet together. But if you you don't want to soak the corks in water, or else the corks will fall off. So that's what the cork grease does. It just helps make the clarinet easy to put together if you put it on the corks. And not every piece has corks. It's the as you can see when you get it. So this middle joint, this upper middle joint, has 1 and 2. The lower middle joint only has 1 on the bottom. This is how it looks on the bottom. And then the head joint has 1 to connect to the barrel. So then you just put the cork grease on there. Another thing, the last thing, is you don't want to bring, mostly this is for wood clarinets, but you don't want to bring your clarinet outside into a rainy environment or a humid environment, because that also makes the corks fall off, so your clarinet won't be able to stay together. So just make sure when you're playing you have your instrument not outside, or else your clarinet will be ruined. That's all I have for you, and so good luck with your playing.